Okay, well, I think in view of the time, we'd better move to our second speaker. Barbara Sorgato, like me, used to be a NORMAPME expert. She is Secretary General of the European Consortium of Anchor Producers, and she can perhaps explain what that means, because for me an anchor is something that you use to stop a ship or a boat running away, but I know it is more to do with fixing products in the construction sector. So, Barbara, you might just explain to begin with what an anchor is, and then please give your presentation.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Yes, an anchor is a construction product. We are dealing with fixing anchors, the one that are fixing, for instance, the ceiling, or structural fixing of these buildings is made with anchors. I will not focus more on the product, because in our case what is important is the consortium. I'm here on behalf of ACAP. Who is ACAP? That association. It is a transnational association. It is the only one in Europe. I realized after 11 years that we are alone with this constellation. What does it mean? The association is made out not of national associations, but directly of firms from different member states. These firms united themselves in a group to influence standardization, not to be aware, not to be informed, but simply to work at standardization. These firms are all SMEs, no big one. SMEs of different member states and of different languages have common interests. The interest is the trade. The language is really not an issue. They are all competitors on the same market. They all want the same, from Denmark to Italy. They have the same product. That means they share a technical language. It is not a general association, a big trade association that lobbies in Europe. It is a sectorial association that just talks about fixing anchors. You might not know what they are, but for us it is the daily bread, so fixing anchors 24 hours a day. We just talk about that. Well, sometimes when we are bored, we also talk about wood screws and powder-actuated tools, but all stuff to fix something in a building. Surprise. We are 100% financed by ourselves. No states, nobody else. That means the firms pay to be member of our association, and when they ask to become member, we tell to them, we are not a cheap association. It costs 10,000 euro per year to become a member, and that's just the beginning. Then you have to work, and work hard. I am the Secretary General since the beginning. That's why I can report the history of that. I can't believe that we are 12 years old, almost, but we are, and here is our story. Listening to my children repeating their lesson, I realized that we really didn't invent anything special. I mentioned it before, the Hanseatic League, because it is the same. What do small firms, towns, what do the small fishes, small animals, when they have the same interest? They group. So look at the Hanseatic League at the right, and at the left are ECAP members, transnational, because the interests are the same. There was the King of Denmark there, look at the Hanseatic League, and he said, I am in the middle, and you cannot have a trade. So they united, they slapped him, and they went on having trade, because he was a barrier to trade. So they had to organize ships and fight against him. And that's what we have to do in standardization. That's why today I mentioned that standardization is a fight. We face barriers to trade. The first barrier to trade that we face are the multinationals, because they use standardization to bend European norms according to their needs. That's normal. I mean, the biggest one is the one that make rules. So at the national level, we face it at every committee, the representative of the multinationals. So it is nice to hear that SMEs are 95% in Europe, but if you have 95% or even 99% and then Nestlé is sitting near to you, you don't have that big chance. The second barrier to trades are the testing institutes, and that's normal as well, because they want to earn their money, so they want to make, they want to grow tests in order to make business. And the third barrier to trade for us are the member states keeping their national approach and setting barrier to trade with national certifications, national laws. We had the Construction Product Directive, we still have it for a month, and this has been a disaster looking at the different interpretation of every member state, so we really welcome the Construction Product Regulation, which is a desperation for the European sovereignty, but for us is a sun, even with all the limitation. Okay, why it is important to have contacts with SEN members for a small firm? Because small firms need to know what's going on, and if you are not in a network, if you are alone, you are lost. You don't know what's going on. And in our case, it's important for a firm, for a small firm, to know what is going on, not what was going on 3 years ago and then you have to implement it. That's too late. It is nice if you are requested to give your opinion about a norm which has been published and it is in circulation period, but as my colleague said, the biggest work is in the first year. If you are not sitting there, forget it. And then it depends where you are sitting. There are the national meetings where you read and comment, you travel there. I think an SME can afford that. I mean, it's not that costly to have 1 or 2 meetings in your national country. You read the papers and you give your comments, and then someone else will go to the European meetings. And what will he or she do? This person will have European meetings, will draft the text maybe, because the best way to do a standard is to write it by yourself. And another activity connected to working at the standards is to elaborate technical proposal. You are not going there just to chat or to say that you don't agree. You need to be constructive, to bring proposals on the table, and then this implies to carry out researches. If, for example, a multinational is paying a university to demonstrate that because of the safety, that product must be excluded from the market, how do you argue back if you don't have a research or a paper? If you get 50 slides with technical demonstrations, that's on the table. So either you have something in your hand, or what is on the table is the other paper. So you are lost, and this costs money. That's what you need to influence standardization according to our experience. And I have to say that we are fairly cheap for the work that we do. 250,000 euro a year. You need, first of all, a statute, because to keep together SMEs, all competitors on the same market, it is like a kindergarten. Because the Danish one is against the Italian one that is planning to do something with the Spanish one, but not that the French is against, and so on. So with the statute, you have a democratic law, and you are free to struggle and to meet in peace. Then for SMEs, I need to stress that a European legal framework is very, very important, because the big ones, they don't need law, the small ones that need law. I remember in the last standing committee on construction, the reaction of a colleague of a multinational that said, well, we don't like the DOP, Declaration of Performance, as it is proposed. We will not do it like that. Well, a small one cannot do like that. We have to comply with the rules, and that's why we want to set up rules. We need technical weapons, I say that before. To make a norm, you need technical proposals, so you need researches, you need to invest with universities. And that's what we do, sharing the money, and the knowledge. Imagine SMEs, all competitors on the same market, sharing the knowledge. That's possible because they have the same interest. Barrier-free European market. And then you need a shared ethical approach. That's very important as well. You need to believe in Europe, to be idealistic, like I am, optimistic. And yes, but if you don't have that and believe that what are you doing is fair and it is good and it is for the next generation, I always tell to my members, forget our generation, I'm 48. Just wait 20 years and the young people, they are thinking different. It's not the national approach. Just wait. If you don't have that, you don't keep people together. Remember, they are all competitors. Here is where we are. We are in EOTA. EOTA is the second organization foreseen by the Construction Product Directive for construction products. Has nothing to do with SEN. I won't spend time on that. And these are the groups where we are. That means we draft texts, we carry out researches, we attend the meetings, European meetings. We just had the meeting of the connectors, CEN-TC 124, and the Danish member was how can I say, afraid is not, was concerned about the national Danish mirror group because he said, but I am going against the interest of this and this industry, so how can we push that proposal because they won't agree? And then we say, let's make an agreement with the Swedish university, blah, blah, blah. And then we present that as ECAP, but in the working group, I'm just an observer, so I'm nothing. So I registered myself as UNI. Imagine, I represent Italy in the working group, but I have nothing to do with Italy besides the fact that I am Italian, but I'm representing 8 member states there. Then I have the Spanish member registered as Spain, but in fact, we are not representing our member states. We are transversal. And again, there was the French member very afraid because in the French Mirror Committee, there was a French firm bought by a German firm which belonged to a USA group. So every time there is a coffee pause, we look at each other and we say, who are you really? Because nobody is really representative. So we change the head, we exchange 3 visit cards. Okay. To get visibility, we also have to play top model if any of you are not. So we get these initiatives. We print T-shirts and we give them to the colleague of the multinational when we did together a good job. We drink a couple of beers, we let them wear that, and then we make nice pictures saying, okay, we did it, because we are there to work, not only to fight. You can fight during the day, but in the evening. And we cooperate to the Guide 17. That's one of the comics that we proposed to tell that firms need to talk clearly and not too long about what they want. So the proposal was me, Tarzan, Eugene, and not I would like to introduce myself. So we would like a norm made like me, Tarzan, Eugene. I think this was one of the comics that was voted inside the guide, but then has been cut. But there are still 2, and these are our comics. And we are part of a European project because European 7 framework project must be to increase our technical level. So we do that. In that project, we just do dissemination, but it is nice to belong to because of contacts and feeling European and feeling paid by the European Commission, 54,000 euro for 4 years for dissemination. And that's the project we did together with SEN, NORMAPME, European Commission, and all the people the institutions that you can see there. And that was our proposal on how to involve SMEs in standardization. It means before they become SMEs, when they are children, students, when they are not born. Just inform them about what happens. And that's a 25 minutes documentary, and if you survive that, you, you will get a T-shirt of our association. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Barbara. I had no idea that being in the anchor industry could be so much fun. Questions to Barbara? Yes, please.
Alberto Spasciani, SME Safety, which is an association which, without knowing that, is doing something similar. So really, I appreciate it that much. I mean, the intervention is the only one, I'm afraid, that really went to the point, saying what SME can do to become important in the market. This is really the only intervention which worth listening to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's not a question, it's only a statement. I like very much your picture with the two dogs. And 15 years ago, when I was the first time in an international working group, I recognized the two dogs. In fact, when you see what's happening on the national level, and a lot of people of different trade associations make the comments of a standard, and after the comments it becomes national comments, but at the end the decision is inside the working group, and people are looking across hundreds of comments, and the right power and to influence is in this level, and your message was very clear. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes, a lady in the front here.
Also, thank you very much. I'm Annette Drexel from Danish Industry Association. I would just like to know a bit more about your membership. What are you up against? Are there any very big producers, or do you group all producers of anchors? Is it only for SMEs, that is below 250 people, or
Yes.
employers? Yeah.
Yes, the statute says that it is only for SMEs, up to 250 employees. And that was a rule because we have got, imagine we have got a request of membership from Würth. It's impossible, because if there is a big one, it doesn't work. So it's really, it's a limit of the consortium, and it is one association, one vote, and it is the same fee for everyone, but not if you have less than 2 million turnover. Then you just pay 3,500 euro. My colleague, we are two, Luisa Caimi. The market is, there are 4 multinationals, one from Liechtenstein, a German one, a French one, both by belonging to a USA group, and a second German one. And the small and middle size, so my firms are supplying the products each other and to the multinationals. There is no statistic on that, so we just made a statistic by ourselves. I wouldn't, but in average, they supply 35% of their products to the multinationals, and the products of the small are sold with the brand of the big ones. So that's, I don't know if I answered. That's about anchors. Then it's not about wood screws and powder actuated tools, which are special. Okay. I also want to say that the biggest firm, which is Würth, is it doesn't manufacture. It sells our product, but it has no manufacturing plan. It's just a trade firm, and it is lobbying very bad, I have to say. Fortunately. Okay.
One last question from the gentleman there.
Thank you. My name is Matthias Marx from the Federal Ministry of Economics and Technology in Germany. And my question is, going back to the beginnings of ACAP, what was the initial spark to the foundation of ACAP, and how did the first members found themselves together to found ACAP?
Thank you for this question. I am Italian, and I am used in facing the inability of Italians to jump over their dimension and to group. But I have to say that the initiative was came from an Italian manufacturer, And the reason was that the Italian association, the national association, was dominated by a representative of the multinational, but he started to talk with the French one and discovered that in France, the situation was the same. The same was in United Kingdom and in Spain. So they group in five firms and started to do ECAP, and that was okay.
Thank you very much, Barbara. I think we better move to our last speaker, and if you were looking forward